All right. Is it on? Am I good? All right. Hi there. I'm Jackson, and I'm incredibly excited to be giving my testimony to you guys tonight. I would first like to talk a little bit about myself, a little introduction. So first off, I love music. I don't know if you guys have seen me in this cage before, but I love playing the drums. And that first picture there, those two kids there, that's Pierce the Veil. They're one of my favorite bands so far. I love this album, Selfish Machines. Me and my sister, we were actually listening to that album on the way here. I love it so much. And then here's me and the boys after an amazing soccer game. I love playing soccer with them. I go to Annapolis Area Christian School High School. I'm a junior. I'll be a senior this fall. And then finally, my family. I love my family very much. The top picture is of my American side of the family, my dad's side. And then on the bottom is my mom's family in South Africa. So I love all of them very much. And so music, high school soccer, and then my family, they're just very important to me. And then that's just a little bit who I am. And then to begin with into my testimony, I'm not going to lie, when Pastor Jen asked me to give this a little while ago, in my head, I was kind of like, that would be cool. I've been here for a while now. I've seen people give their fair shares of testimonies, and I was like, I think I can do it. And at the time, I was kind of thinking to myself, well, what would I be talking about? And I knew two things: that I was a Christian, and I grew up in a Christian household, and I always went to church. And that was kind of my foundation for everything. And over these last couple of weeks, I was like, that is true, but as I've been looking more into my past and what's been going on this past year, I realized there's a lot more to that story. And so I want to touch on this last year of school, my junior year. And it's been an interesting year for sure. I've been met with a lot of challenges that I haven't really been faced with, a lot of strengths turned to weaknesses. And the first kind of struggle that I really dealt with this year was my mental health. Last summer was dealing with really bad anxiety. And usually I kind of thought to myself, I get nervous. I think we can all say that we get nervous. For soccer, I get nervous. Before I drum, I get nervous. So I was like, I get nervous quite a bit. But then I realized when there was an instance where I was going to homecoming, and I was in the car with my mom, and it was going to be a great night. I had a date. We were, going to take pictures with all my friends. But I just had a horrible anxiety, and I basically just broke down in the car and told my mom that I needed help. And so anxiety was something big this past year that I really struggled with. And then connected to that, I felt incredibly lonely. I kind of that summer, but a little bit before, there was kind of like a breaking up with some old friends. But even at school, I felt as though even though I was surrounded by a community, I felt very alone in that. And that, with a room full of people, I didn't feel wanted, or at least was seen, but I didn't feel like people really wanted to know who I was. And so those two things connected was really hard for me. And my mental health, that was something I've always been a pretty confident person, but that was very difficult. And aside from that, I realized that my junior year, that my faith had to be my own. And I realized that people in my grade and the grade above me, they were making their decisions on where they wanted their life to go. And I was like, people are going to be doing some stuff, and I'm going to be doing other stuff. But I realized that I had to put my faith in Christ and follow Him. But even doing that was not easy. I think this year, I've been incredibly angry at God and very sad, and have blamed Him for a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have. And I feel like this year, my relationship with Him has been very ups and downs. And it's almost like whenever things go good, I'm like, oh yeah, God, this was great. This was our plan. And then when things go bad, I'm like, God, you're not here with me. You're not this, you're not that. And so I think my relationship with God has taken a it had taken a big toll. And that was another big thing, just finding where I was with God and then really struggling with him to the point where I was like, what even is my faith? So it started out with me being like, I definitely want to be a Christian, and then going to a point where it's like, I'm even doubting my own faith. And so I think those two things have been incredibly hard for me to deal with. But God has always had a plan for me. And I think my mind is always in my situation too much of the time, and I don't realize what's really helping me in those moments. I'm too focused on my own problems. And so God has given me an incredible therapist to work with. His name is Greg. He's amazing. And if I strongly encourage any of you guys, if you need to reach out, please do it. It's amazing. The first couple of weeks, I saw an immediate impact, and it's something that I have continued doing, and I will probably continue all of my life. And so when it comes to my mental health, when I'm with him, and I'm able to sort out my problems with him, I see God working through that and all the things that he's done through those conversations. And then with my club soccer team, I've had a fair amount of problems with my high school soccer team. Even though you saw a picture of all of us up there, I love them very much, but it was really rough. I've had a rough time with them, just in terms of how the season's going, or how my coach is, or the attitude, and it's a mental burden on me because I love soccer, and if that's a big portion of my life, the bad is really bad in those moments. And so being with my club team, and even though none of those guys are Christian or even claim to be that, they really show Christ to me through their friendship and through their wanting to be with me and the relationships that they built, and especially through my coach, a man that I've been with for 5 or 6 years now, who again and again has shown incredible mentorship and wanting to be with me and always asking me how I'm okay, and just someone who I didn't really realize how vital he was and how he was filling in a piece that I hadn't gotten at high school. And then finally, I was thinking about this, there's definitely one more thing in my life that I've seen God work in, and it's been Crossroads. Honestly, any single time I thought of when I've had a bad day or a really hard moment, it's been on a Wednesday. And I'll realize soccer practice was really hard, and my anxiety was really bad today, and I felt awful. And then I realize it's a Wednesday, and I get to come and I get to drum and then be with people who I really love and who really love me back. And there are just moments when it'll be a Tuesday, or no, it'll be a Wednesday morning, and then the Tuesday or Monday before was really hard for me, and then Noah will send me a text hey Jackson, we need a drummer. And then just that is just amazing for me. And it's small moments like that, and that had happened for 3 weeks where I wasn't even scheduled to drum, and he was just hey Jackson, I need a drummer. And when I look back at it, it's those days when he asked me if I could drum were easily the hardest days I've experienced at school. And so looking back at it, I'm God is definitely working through that area. So Crossroads in a whole has helped me so much than I even realized. And in all of that, there was one verse that I think kind of really helped me through this situation. I think, like I said before, my relationship with God was very ups and downs. But I think this verse here, Psalm 27:9, do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Do not abandon me nor forsake me, O God of my salvation. And I would just say that last part, do not abandon me nor forsake me. I knew that, I didn't want to ask for anything. I knew that I was sinning against God or, doing wrong towards him. And I was just as long as, God, if you can stay with me, that's all I ask for. And And I remember sitting on my steps in my bedroom, just saying those words. And I was thinking of David and how he was running away from his enemies. And he said this, and I thought, if David can do that, then I can do this. So, my junior year it's been rough for sure, but it has been also amazing to see what God has done for me. And I'm very privileged to be here, standing in front of you guys, telling you all the things He's done for me. And how, no matter what situation you in or I was in, is that He is always there for you, and He won't forsake you or leave you. Thank you.